Most parents believe the worst moment is when they lose their temper. The yelling, the slammed door, the words that came out wrong, or the ones that came out exactly right, in exactly the wrong way. And after it happens, there is this sinking feeling in your chest, this quiet voice that says, "I just damaged my child. I failed." That feeling is real, and it makes complete sense. But psychology says something that might genuinely surprise you. That moment, as painful as it is not the one that determines your child's emotional future. What happens in the next hour? That is what actually shapes their brain, and most parents have absolutely no idea. Developmental psychologists have been studying parent-child relationships for decades, and what they have found is counterintuitive enough to genuinely change how we think about our imperfections as parents. The concept at the center of this research is called rupture and repair, and understanding it may be the most useful thing you take away from this entire video. Every relationship, every single one, experiences moments of disconnection. Not just difficult relationships, not just imperfect parents. Every relationship. That is not a flaw. It is a fact of being human. The question is never whether ruptures happen. The question is whether repair follows them. In the late 1970s, Dr. Ed Tronick, a developmental psychologist at Harvard, ran one of the most influential experiments in the history of child psychology. It is called the still face experiment. In it, a mother engages warmly and playfully with her infant. The baby is completely open, laughing, pointing, reaching, making sounds. Everything is working. Then, following the researcher's instructions, the mother goes completely still. No expression, no response, a blank face. And within seconds, the baby begins to do everything it can to get her back. It reaches out. It points. It makes sounds that escalate into crying. The distress is immediate. But here is the critical part. The mother reconnects. She smiles, she responds, she reaches back, and the baby recovers, fully and within moments. Tronick called this rupture and repair, and what he showed with that experiment is that babies and children can tolerate a great deal of distress as long as they learn that connection comes back. Dr. Daniel Siegel, a clinical professor of psychiatry at UCLA and one of the world's leading researchers in interpersonal neurobiology, takes this further. He explains that when a parent loses their temper and then repairs the relationship, they are modeling something extraordinary for their child's developing brain. They are showing the child how to tolerate distress, how to regulate overwhelming emotion, and most importantly, how to reconnect with another person after a conflict. These are the skills that predict mental health in adulthood. They do not come from watching a parent stay perfectly calm. They come from watching a parent rupture and then come back. A 2019 study in the Journal of Child and Family Studies confirmed this in striking terms. Children whose parents consistently repaired after emotional conflicts developed stronger emotional regulation and significantly higher empathy than children whose parents simply tried to keep the peace and avoid conflict altogether. Let that actually land. Not the calmest parents, not the ones who never raise their voice, the most repairing parents. That is what produces emotionally resilient kids. So the real question is not, how do I stop losing my temper? Though that matters too. The question is, what do I do after? Here are 6 steps backed by developmental psychology and attachment science. Step 1. Regulate yourself first. Before you go back to your child, you need to come down from your own heightened state. And this matters far more than most parents realize. When we lose our temper, our nervous system is flooded. Cortisol, adrenaline, the full stress cascade is active. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for empathy, nuance, and careful language, is essentially offline. You cannot co-regulate a dysregulated child when you are still dysregulated yourself. It would be like trying to steady someone on a tightrope while you are also falling. Give yourself 10 to 20 minutes. Breathe slowly, not performatively, but actually. Drink some water. Move your body. Go outside for a few minutes if you can. You are not abandoning your child by taking this time. You are making yourself capable of actually helping them. The repair requires you to be present. That requires you to be regulated first. Step 2. Return with presence, not performance. When you come back to your child, you do not need a rehearsed speech. In fact, arriving with one often backfires. Children can feel the artificiality of scripted words, and it can make them more guarded, not less. What your child needs first is not your language. It is your body. Sit near them. Lower yourself to their level if they are young. Offer soft eye contact, the open, gentle kind, not an intense stare waiting for them to respond. Give them a moment before you speak at all. Your nervous system is already communicating with theirs in ways that operate faster than language. Research in polyvagal theory, developed by neuroscientist Dr. Stephen Porges, shows that the autonomic nervous system reads cues of safety from the prosody of a voice, the softness of a face, the openness of a posture, before a single word registers consciously. Children are extraordinary at reading these cues. What they are looking for when you come back is not a perfect apology. They are looking for signs that you are safe again. Step 3. Name what happened honestly. This is where most parents either overcorrect or undercorrect, and both create real problems. The overcorrection sounds like, "I am so sorry. I am the worst parent in the world. You deserve so much better than me." This is not repair. This is emotional dumping. You are putting your child in charge of your guilt. Now they have to reassure you, manage your feelings, carry something that does not belong to them. It shifts the emotional weight onto the wrong person. The undercorrection sounds like, "I am sorry I got upset, but you really were pushing my buttons." That is not repair either. That is deflection. The child's nervous system hears the subtext clearly. It was actually somewhat your fault. Partial apologies do partial damage. Real repair sounds supple and clean. "I lost my temper earlier and I yelled at you. That was wrong. You did not deserve that." That is all it needs to be. No eloquence required, no explanation, just honesty and ownership. Step 4. Take ownership without explanation. After naming what happened, resist the very natural urge to explain the reasons behind it. You were exhausted. You had a terrible day. You had already asked them 3 times and your patience ran out. All of that may be completely true. But your child does not need your stress context in this moment. Explanations, even sincere, well-intentioned ones, almost always function as partial justifications inside a child's brain. They hear the architecture beneath the words. There were reasons, which means there was logic, which means it was somewhat understandable, which means maybe some of it was warranted. The explanation quietly puts part of the blame back in their direction, so skip the footnotes. Just own it. The repair belongs entirely to you. All of it, without conditions. Step 5. Reconnect physically. Once you have acknowledged what happened and taken full responsibility, offer physical reconnection. A hug, a hand on their shoulder, sitting close, letting your arm touch theirs. And then, this is important, let your child lead. Do not force the hug if they pull back. Some children want to be held the moment you return, immediately and completely. Others need several more minutes. They may be stiff, or look away, or seem unmoved. That is not rejection. That is a nervous system doing exactly what it is designed to do. Taking time to verify that this is real, that the safe version of you is genuinely back and not just performing. Follow their cue. Stay available. The physical reconnection is what biologically completes the repair cycle. It tells your child's body at a level far below words, the threat is over. The bond is still here. Step 6. Return to normal, not forced happiness. After the reconnection, you do not need to manufacture cheerfulness or try to make everything suddenly bright and wonderful. That kind of deliberate positivity can actually confuse children and sometimes backfire. It signals that what happened must be erased or pretended away rather than simply lived through. Instead, return to the ordinary rhythm of life together. Watch something, make food, help with whatever they were doing. The message you send in this step is quiet, but it may be the most important message in this entire process. It says, we are okay. We are still us. Something hard happened, and we are still here together. That message, delivered over and over throughout a childhood, is what makes a child capable of navigating the conflicts they will inevitably face for the rest of their life. Before I get to what happens when repair does not come, I want to address something that stops a lot of parents from going back at all: shame. After losing their temper, many parents feel such intense shame that they cannot bring themselves to return to their child. Not because they do not care, but because the shame is so overwhelming that going back and acknowledging what happened feels unbearable. It requires sitting in the discomfort of having been less than the parent you want to be and saying so out loud to the person whose opinion of you matters most. But avoiding repair because of shame is, in a painful irony, one of the most damaging things a parent can do. The shame is yours. The cost is theirs. The courage repair requires is real, and so is the healing it creates. Now, what actually happens when repair does not come? Not in families where parents are intentionally cold or cruel, but in the far more common situation. A parent loses their temper, feels too ashamed or overwhelmed to come back, and the rupture simply goes unaddressed. Life moves on. The moment is never spoken about again. When this happens consistently, children are left in a state of chronic, unresolved attachment anxiety. Their brain, which is neurologically wired for connection, which needs the attachment relationship to feel safe in order to develop normally, does not stop needing the relationship. It starts working around it. Children in these situations stop bringing their real feelings to the parent. They begin, often without any conscious awareness at all, monitoring and managing the parent's emotional state instead of expressing their own. They become the ones who read the room, who tread carefully, who sense when something is fragile, and make themselves smaller to protect it. Over and over, the message their nervous system receives is, conflict is dangerous, connection is unpredictable, love is conditional on keeping everything calm. That message does not stay in childhood. Longitudinal research consistently shows that chronic unrepaired ruptures in early relationships predict higher rates of anxiety disorders, significant difficulty with emotional self-regulation, and persistent patterns of trouble in adult relationships, particularly around conflict and repair. Not because those parents were bad people, but because the most important lesson about how relationships work, that ruptures heal, that people come back, was never demonstrated. The child grew up without a working model of repair. Here is what I want you to take away from this. The fact that you lose your temper sometimes does not define what kind of parent you are. Almost every parent does. The brain under stress is not always the brain we want to be. The research on this is consistent and it is compassionate. It is not the rupture that shapes a child's future. It is the repair. When you go back to your child and say simply and honestly, "I was wrong," you are not showing weakness. You are teaching them one of the most important things a human being can ever learn. That the people who love you come back after conflict. That ruptures can heal. That love is not canceled by a hard moment. That relationship is possible even after things fall apart. And here's the part that I think matters most. Every time you repair, you are showing your child how to do the same. You are giving them a lived, embodied experience of what healthy relationships look like, how they feel, what they require. That is not a small thing. That is one of the most significant gifts you will ever give them. If you want to go deeper, to understand the neuroscience behind why parents lose control in the first place, what is actually happening in your brain in those moments, and how to start interrupting the cycle before it reaches that point, watch this next video.